What's going on, you guys? Tank here. Welcome to a new video. And today, different style of video. It's not me playing a game or anything like that. Today, we're going to be discussing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. So, as of the time of this recording today, so the Call of Duty was announced, and Infinity Ward announced that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 will be 2026's Call of Duty title. There are a lot of people are happy about that. I've actually seen a lot of, pretty okay stuff, pretty positive reviews, or feedback, I should say, by people. Of course, there are also the other people who, have negative things to say. It's understandable, obviously, because of the state that Call of Duty is in right now, kind of in a weird state. But, yeah, it was just announced this morning, or if you guys are watching the video at the day of release, release of this video, it was announced yesterday morning. So yeah, first of all, if you guys haven't seen the trailer, I'm gonna link it down in the description below. Make sure you guys, go click the link in the description, go and check out the trailer if you haven't seen it. Pretty cool trailer, I'm not gonna lie. It does give you a reason to kind of look forward to it, but in this video, we're kind of just going to discuss my impressions on the trailer, what we know so far, and then just my final thoughts on it, on the, announcement, the new Call of Duty title. And let's hop on in. Let's talk about it. So, first things first is that the new trailer. It kind of starts out with you are in South Korea. It's obvious that it's based between the North Korean and the war between North Korea and South Korea, while also sprinkling in different locations in the game as well. But in the opening, in that trailer, the opening scene, they're walking down like a little strip, and then out of nowhere, there's, lights go out and there's a huge explosion that goes on. That explosion, I mean, to me, it kind of reminded me of OG Modern Warfare 3, with that controversial scene of like the little girl and her mom and her dad recording them, and it's that terrorist attack that happens in London, and the explosion happens there. So that, when I saw that in the new trailer, it literally just took me back to that game. So, with that being one of like the first thoughts that I got, I felt like that was a pretty good sign, at least for me. But yeah, if you look at the rest of the trailer, there's a good amount of action on there, which I do like. I just hope it's not like Battlefield 6, where if you guys saw Battlefield 6's campaign, I felt like all the action, the explosions, and everything like that was just a bit overdone. But it is what it is. But yeah, there's a good amount to unravel. It looks like there's also an obvious scene where it looks like they're North Korean troops, performing some type of invasion and attack on South Korea. And we have, at the end, you'll see that Ghost is actually back, which is insane. Captain Price is on the run, and apparently Makarov is back as well too. So it's there's a lot to unpack in that trailer. And you guys will just have to excuse me, like if I keep looking down. I literally have my notes right here just so that I don't forget. But my first impressions on the trailer, obviously, like I said, with that first explosion, reminded me. It took me back to OG Modern Warfare 3, which I actually, love the fact that I was able to that I brought myself back to that moment. But let's talk about the graphics of the game. In that opening scene, most of the stuff that you see in that trailer it's obviously not gameplay. It's mainly cutscenes, and in the cutscenes, the graphics are always going to look better. But at the same time, they kind of just looked okay-ish, and I honestly never really, this could just be me, I don't know about anybody else. I really never really noticed a difference in graphics for Call of Duty, or with each Call of Duty. They'll look pretty decent, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they can always do better. Like, let's look at recent games. Forza Horizon 6, by the way, which, if you guys haven't seen it, I do have a series on the channel if you guys want to check that out. Forza Horizon 6, based in Japan, and the graphics are gorgeous. I've never had that type of reaction with any Call of Duty title. And it goes the same thing with Arc Raiders as well too. Arc Raiders is, the graphics are amazing in that game too. And I play with the graphics settings set to medium. So that's one thing. Moving on, like I said, at the end, you'll see that Ghost is actually back, and he looks like OG Ghost too. He's kind of like in that standoff with Price because of the things that Price has done. For example, like killing Shepard. And that standoff, it just gives you goosebumps, especially knowing that Price is on the run. Man, I loved seeing that, man. That's one thing about the trailers, man. They know how to get you going. I will be honest about that. Uh, and then moving on to the setting that it shows, that with North Korea and South Korea. This is one thing that I did think about, and what I do love about Infinity Ward. I will always, always, always credit Infinity Ward for it, because they really do it well. And to be honest, Infinity Ward, I think they are my favorite studio behind any of the Call of Duty titles. Excuse me. Don't get me wrong, my favorite Call of Duty is World at War, and that was a Treyarch title. But when you look at everything together, Call of Duty 4, OG Modern Warfare 2, OG Modern Warfare 3, even Modern Warfare 19. I think Modern Warfare 19 was a pretty good game, minus the multiplayer maps. They suck. But Infinity Ward as a whole, I think they've just done. They always do a tremendous job. Anytime there's an Infinity Ward title coming out, I'm always looking forward to it. So the fact that all the rumors were confirmed is Modern Warfare 4, very, very happy with it. But back to what I was saying, back to my point. I love the fact that they always try to tie in any type of real life event. So obviously right now with North Korea, and obviously this, the whole thing with North Korea in the real world, as far as their nuclear weapons and all that, we're not going to get into that. But and kind of them reeling that into the game and just kind of stemming off of it with their own creative aspect. North Korea versus South Korea. U.S. was obviously involved at some point. I've always loved that. I feel like it makes the game a lot more interesting. I feel like it makes people more into the game as well. And I just love that they're bringing that new perspective into the game, or that new story into the game. And not just only feeding off of that Price versus Makarov storyline and all that stuff. I love that they're doing something different. Not like Black Ops, where they're on Black Ops 7 right now. It's the same story, and it gets to a point where it's just ridiculous, where you even get like a giant machete coming out of the air and a giant what the fuck as well too. And Black Ops 7 is the whole thing, man. That game was a disaster. But I just love that Infinity Ward, if they make up something, they'll tie it into some real life event, and they don't just go completely off the rails like they did with the Black Ops series. So as far as my impressions on the trailer looks fantastic. The game looks like I feel like it could be like that with any trailer, but the game obviously looks promising, especially now that's a kind of a hot topic with Call of Duty. They're in like a weird place right now. We'll get a little more into that later, but those are my impressions with the trailer. Very interested. I've seen it a few times already, and it kind of gets you kind of excited to actually play the campaign and all that. Moving on to like what we know. So I literally have it noted down. I bookmarked a lot of posts on Twitter, so that I wouldn't lose it or anything like that. So what we know, first of all, for multiplayer, or actually just for the game itself entirely, Infinity Ward is looking to finally remove that update requires restart message that comes up. I never understood why that always came up, even if there wasn't an update. Every time you start up the game, it always comes up. They're finally getting rid of that. So that's like a minor thing, but it was annoying after a while. So I'm happy they're getting rid of that. Next, no more Omni movement. Now, I was a fan of Omni movement. It just, for me at least, it just felt a little bit more fluid. It obviously felt more realistic in the fact that you could be prone and just kind of just always rotate your body. I was a fan of it. I'll be honest. I believe they introduced Omni movement with Black Ops 6. So it would have been Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7. So only 2 years, because those two titles came out back to back. Those two games, I didn't play as much because I just didn't like those two games. But in the little time that I actually did play those two games, Omni movement, I was a fan of Omni movement. I liked it. Like I said, it felt more fluid, felt more natural, so I was a fan of it. I didn't know that it had as much hate as it did. A lot of people were kind of happy to hear that Omni movement is is over with. I mean, there's always going to be people. There's always going to be people who are sweaty in these games, and even with Omni movement, something that's as realistic as it can be. You would think that it can't get sweaty. I guess there are people who just found a way where they were unbearable and made Omni movement unbearable. I don't know if there was anything wrong with the mechanics. Like I said, I didn't experience anything wrong, but I mean, it is what it is. Omni movement is no longer. Another thing is that attack sprint is back, but the caveat to it, the main difference is that now players lose stamina when you're using attack sprint for a while. I love that. Again, it goes back a little bit to a little bit more realism, because nobody can sprint like that without getting tired. So I do like that. Players lose stamina. I mean, it's going to be like any game where once you sprint, and after a little while, like you're just done. So yeah, I do like that. Another thing that I did see is that now you can dive into a backwards prone, which I mean, it's interesting. I wonder how that's gonna be. I never really found myself in a predicament or in a position where I tried to dive prone backwards. That's definitely gonna be something that I'm gonna check out when the game comes out. I'll probably load into like a private lobby and just check that out. But I did know here it's, even though Omni movement is gone, it is clear that Infinity Ward Call of Duty is trying to keep some type of realism into it. And I guess given that backwards prone dive, I mean, it's, I'm not mad at it. I think it's a good way to kind of keep things fresh with the movement. Obviously, as these years come and all that, new games come out, there's going to be a lot of different things that have to be changed. And obviously, I feel like if Call of Duty just had that same old movement mechanics that it used to, let's say back in like World at War, MW2, stuff like that, I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to, I don't want to say notice it, but I don't think a lot of people are going to complain much about it. But when you do these small, at least like changes, I think that's a pretty positive thing. Omni movement, when it comes to the movement mechanics, I think that was kind of just like a big change all to come out. But again, I mean, I liked it. Dive into backwards prone, it sounds cool. We'll check it out. Another thing that they did announce is that they did say is that you can now hang on to ledges. I don't know how I feel about that. Call of Duty, in any game every year, there's always a problem with campers and people camping and just being in these ridiculous spots. And I feel like hanging on ledges, I feel like that's just going to be another instance where people will probably just stay hanging on the ledge the entire time and just stay there. Because I believe now they also did where, like, if you're mounted, your gun will stay out while you're mounting. It doesn't go away anymore. So I'm assuming when you're hanging on the ledge, because I'm assuming that's some type of mount, I'm assuming they're going to let you just keep your gun out. So interested to see that happening, or interested to see how that goes. I'm not too thrilled about it, again, because of that camper problem. Now, the problem is, like, the thing with me is that I'm a rusher. I hate sitting back. I don't even play Search and Destroy because it's too slow for me. So when I see people camping, I lose. I really do. So I'm not looking forward to that, but we'll see how it goes. Another part that they changed, a big movement change that they did. You can now climb up on poles. You can jump from ladders to windows. They added Animore. I don't know what else it is, but I think that's actually pretty cool to be able to climb up on poles and all that. Kind of gives you a little bit more action, a little bit more leeway to where it is that you can get to, kind of in the spots that you can get to, how you can get to there and all that. So I do like that. I do like that you can jump from a ladder to a window. I think that's awesome. We're all guilty of it. We're climbing up a ladder and we'll try to jump into like an open window or something like that. And we just miss. We're all guilty to it. Don't lie to me. So yeah, I like that. I like that. Those types of additions, I do like that. But I mean, you can also, I mean, I don't know if your gun is going to go away when you're climbing up a pole, or climbing up a ladder. I don't know. I don't think they would be out. But that leads me to another change they're going to do. So obviously we are all used to, if we're running right into a wall, we're just staring into a wall, our gun is out completely. This year it looks like they're changing that. So as you're approaching a wall or a door or something like that, closer you get, your weapon starts angling up. So you're no longer seeing the gun going straight through a wall or just out or whatever. It's actually going to be pointed up. Kind of gives you a different FOV of it. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, that goes back to a little bit of the realism that they're trying to go after. I'm a fan of it. It's these little things that I'm loving. Going to multiplayer again. They are bringing red dots back into the minimap. I love that. I know that was a big problem where red dots weren't on the minimap, and I don't understand why they would get rid of that in the first place. So I'm happy they're bringing that back. Another thing that I actually had to look up, because I didn't know what it was by just reading it off at first. But after I read up on it, I knew exactly what they meant. I knew what it was because I was a victim of this as well. They're taking away bloom. And like I said in the beginning, I didn't know what bloom was. I thought it was some type of saturation thing or something like that. Because if you guys used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, there was a setting that you could turn on that says bloom, and it makes everything shinier. I thought it was something like that. But what it is, bloom, was that, even though you aim down sight, the bullet is going to land. It's not going to always land where it is exactly that you're aiming when you're aiming down sight. And I believe it also messed up with a little bit of the hip fire as well too. Now, with that, I mean, if you shoot a gun in real life, you're most of the time, if you're not that experienced, if you're aiming at something, you pull the trigger, you're not gonna hit it. You're not gonna hit the target that you were looking at. You're gonna be a little bit off to the right, a little bit off to whatever side it is that you end up at. I see why they added bloom in the beginning, but I remember playing. And I remember playing the games, and I saw that, like, I would aim down sight, but my bullets weren't landing where I was aiming. And I was like, what is going on? I don't know why it was always like that. And now seeing bloom, I do see that, and I'm happy that they're getting rid of it. Going back to old school, aim down sight, you're shooting at where you're aiming at, and that's where your bullets are gonna land. I love that. I'm happy that they're bringing that back. Another thing that they're bringing back from Classic Call of Duty is Classic Prestige and Perk system. So Prestige, I believe, what is it? They're gonna do 10 prestige ranks, as I believe it is, which I love that. Just keep it. I feel like that's just simpler. I don't know why they ever changed that. I never thought it was flawed or anything like that. Now, the crowd that are playing video games right now. I'm 29. I have been playing Call of Duty for a while since Call of Duty 4. So I am a big fan of just the classic Call of Duty and how all that used to play. With all the changes that were happening in recent Call of Duties, I wasn't that big of a fan of it. So the fact that they're bringing back the classic prestige system and the classic perk system, where it's just 3 perks per class that you're using, I love that. Let's keep it classic. It's simple, and it just allows you to get things done a little bit quicker. That way, you can set up everything quick, you just get into a game, and that's all it is. T-Dog Smitty, I was watching one of his videos today, and he kind of explained it the best. He said that, now with these recent Call of Duty games, you have so many challenges, so many things you have to do, where it almost feels like playing the game is like a job or something like that. And, we don't play these games to do a job or whatever. We play these games to separate ourselves from whatever it is that we dealt with for the day, and we just want to unwind and just chill. So anything simpler, anything classic like it was in those classic Call of Duties, that's always the best thing in my opinion. Another thing, which is it's a huge piece of news. The only thing that we know about is that DMZ is coming back. Well, if you guys don't know what DMZ is, it's the extract game mode, multiplayer game mode. From what I heard, they never mentioned anything about Warzone yet or anything like that. I feel like they would mention it or they would bring it back, because I don't see why they wouldn't. It's such a moneymaker. There's a lot of people playing it, so I would understand why they would bring it back, Warzone. But DMZ is coming back. I think bringing DMZ back is a fantastic idea. I never played DMZ, but, with how everything is right now, or how the gaming culture is right now, you have Escape from Tarkov, you have Arc Raiders, and you have Marathon. Those are all extract shooters. A lot of people enjoy the extract shooters. So the fact that Call of Duty is now hopping back onto that and bringing back DMZ, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think it really fits in with the type of crowd that is playing video games right now. And I think that'll just bring back a lot more people that left that Call of Duty scene to go to those Escape from Tarkovs, go to Arc, go to Marathon. I think that's a good way to bring people back and, you know, just kind of get Call of Duty back into the rhythm of things. So I think DMZ coming back is a fantastic idea. Now, when it comes to campaign, there's really only two things that I really have noted here. Obviously, we know that we're going to be in South Korea or North Korea. Obviously, that's what we saw, but also in the trailer, we also noticed that we are in Mumbai. We also go to New York, Paris, and Russia. As you know, other locations in the campaign. I don't really have much thoughts on it. I think it's great. We're going to a lot of different places. Russia was kind of a given, I'll be honest. But yeah, that's just another thing that's coming back. And then another thing with campaign is that it's linear. Just like classic Call of Duty, you're just sticking to the main storyline, going from mission to mission to mission until you finish, and that's it, from start to end. No side missions, no open world exploration or anything like that. You're just sticking to the straight main story mode, beginning to end. That's what it's all about. That's what Call of Duty is all about. And you know, the fact that, you know, with how the disaster of a campaign that Black Ops 7 was last year, it is very important to bring back that classic Call of Duty linear campaign style. I think it'll bring a lot of people back into it, or at least give a lot of people more interest to play it again. I think it's very important for Call of Duty to do that. And you know, as long as they make a good story, good campaign, I think we'll have a banger on our hands. So things are looking good with campaign. Most of the stuff that we have here for multiplayer that I mentioned was movement related, and obviously just the red dots on the minimap, bloom, and the classic prestige perk system. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. Is the release date for Call of Duty 4? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Sorry, they announced it will be October 23rd. Now, as everybody knows, GTA 6 is coming out November 19th. I feel like Call of Duty or Infinity Ward should release this game earlier than October 23rd. October 23rd and November 19th, you're just giving yourself about like 3.5 weeks in between each other. And, you know, if you disagree with me, argue with your mama. GTA 6, once that comes out, everybody's going to play GTA 6. We haven't had a new GTA title in 13 years. So, and we have a Call of Duty title every single year. And with the really bad state that Call of Duty is in right now, you know, Call of Duty is in the mud, you know, and they got to do a lot of digging to get out of that mud. You know, it's, you look at GTA 5, man, everybody and their mother is still playing GTA 5. And that game came out 13 years ago. We're finally getting a new GTA title 3 weeks after Call of Duty. I feel like Call of Duty, you know, people are going to be playing Call of Duty for those three weeks, 3.5 weeks, month or whatever, before, you know, and once GTA comes out, you know, I feel like that's going to take over. Now, I know GTA multiplayer, I don't think GTA Online is going to be coming out on release day. I think it's really just a story mode. But, I mean, you know, when you have GTA 5 was a fantastic story mode, and you know, GTA 6, I feel like it's going to be another fantastic story mode. I have no doubts about GTA 6. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I just feel like Call of Duty and Infinity Ward, they should have just thought a little bit more about that release day. I feel like they should have announced the game a little bit earlier, and I feel like they should release the game a little bit earlier, whether if it was in September or if it was October, at least early October, like first week of October. They usually do first week of November. They should have pushed it back another month. What they did here is they just pushed it back about a week or so. I feel like they should have pushed it back to the beginning of October or September. Another thing that, you know, would always come to my mind is that maybe Call of Duty should have just skipped this year. Again, because of the weird place that they're in right now. I feel like they should have skipped a year, taken this time off to just evaluate everything, see what went wrong, and then just attack from there. Now, you can also beg the argument, Infinity Ward hasn't created a Call of Duty title since Modern Warfare 3, and that came out, I don't remember when that came out. But they have had a few years to, you know, develop this new game and everything like that. So who knows? Maybe, you know, maybe that was just the time off that they needed, because it's a different studio that we're getting this title from. But I feel like regardless, I mean, the thing about Call of Duty, whether you like it or not, Call of Duty is going to be here to stay. Everybody knows the title. It's always going to be a big deal when it comes out. You know, it's just that GTA is such a bigger title. I feel like GTA is just the bigger game all in all. Nobody's gonna forget about Call of Duty. It's never gonna go away. But when you compare it to GTA 6, you know, obviously GTA 6 has a lot more traction, and I just feel like Call of Duty, I feel like, is gonna die down after those 3 weeks or whatever that it's gonna have before the game comes out. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. I feel like the release could have been handled differently, but what do I know? I'm not a developer. But, you know, other than that, you know, when it comes to my final thoughts, I always look forward to Infinity Ward Call of Duty titles. So I don't have a doubt that the game will be enjoyable. I definitely think it'll be an enjoyable game. You know, I feel like we'll probably have a good campaign. You know, what a lot of people are interested in is the multiplayer. See how that goes. The only thing is, I'm scared to look forward to Call of Duty because I don't want to get excited for it. Back to what I was saying, you know, Call of Duty has been kind of like on a downhill trend for the past few years, and you know, the only reason why I think it's probably going to be an enjoyable game this year is because I feel like Infinity Ward, you know, listen to the audience, listen to the crowd that were going to play this game, and you know, the people that played the classic Call of Duties. I feel like, you know, they actually, you know, they made improvements, probably improvements that we were looking for, and I just feel like they genuinely made a good game, and I hope they did. You know, and that goes for both the campaign and multiplayer, because I mean, like I said, when you look at the disaster of the campaign that Black Ops 7 was, Black Ops 7, you couldn't play the campaign if you were offline. It was an online only campaign, which is ridiculous, you know. And the campaign for any Call of Duty game, if anybody wanted to play off, if nobody wanted to be online, they didn't want to play with people, they would go to the campaign. So, you know, Black Ops 7 doing that multiplayer campaign, it made no sense to me at all. I think it was done. I think it was dumb. And then also just when it comes to like the last Modern Warfare 2 that came out, you know, I know there was a whole lot of people complaining about like the movement in that game and just it not being a good game. So I mean, I just feel like campaign and multiplayer, you know, and essentially that just brings the game as a whole. You know, lots of eyes are going to be on Call of Duty this year. I feel like if you know, if this year doesn't go well for Call of Duty, man, it's not good for Call of Duty. They might be done for if Modern Warfare 4 doesn't hit like they're expecting it to. But yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts. That's the news that I have for Modern Warfare 4. You know, I'm looking forward to more trailers and more info as they come out and as we get closer to release time. We'll see how this year goes. Yeah, I have high hopes, but I'm trying not to get excited for it, man, because I've been getting excited the past few years, and I've just been greatly disappointed. So it's kind of like Michael Scott says, no doubt about it, I am ready to get hurt again. So other than that, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys agree with me, let me know. If you guys disagree with me, let me know. Or if you even have other thoughts that I didn't mention here, let me know down in the comments below, man. I'm very interested to see what you guys thought process are, what you guys think about it, what you guys think about the trailer, and the fact that we're getting another Modern Warfare game. And you know, let me know your predictions on how this game is going to go, especially with GTA 6 on the horizon as well too. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace, 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 peace.